Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about life that I've learned through my own journey. Nothing changes until you decide to set goals for yourself. Goals are not just some words written on a paper or some thought in your head. Goals are the very blueprint of the future you want to live. If you don't set goals, life will set them for you. And I promise you won't like where it takes you. You see, the moment you decide to get intentional with your life, that's the moment everything starts to shift in your favor. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by saying that one of the greatest lessons I have learned in life is the power of setting goals for yourself. You cannot wake up every day without direction and expect life to hand you success. Life does not work like that. Life will only give you what you are willing to demand from it. And the way you make that demand is through your goals. A goal is not just a wish or a dream. It is a declaration that you are ready to take action and move toward the future you desire. When you set a goal, you give your life structure, you give your time purpose, and you create a roadmap that tells you where you are going and why. Without goals, you are like a ship drifting in the ocean without a compass. But the moment you write down a goal and commit yourself to it, you start steering your life in the direction you were meant to go. I want you to understand that goals are the foundation of growth. Nothing great has ever been achieved without them. Think about it. Every inventor, every entrepreneur, every artist, every athlete, they all started with a goal in their mind. They saw something before it existed. They spoke it into existence, and then they worked for it. That is the power of goals. They turn the invisible into the visible. But goals don't just happen because you think about them. You can't just sit around and say, I want to be successful. I want to be happy. I want to be wealthy, and then expect life to drop those blessings in your lap. No, you have to be willing to put in the effort, to make sacrifices, to stay consistent, and to keep moving forward even when the road gets rough. The first goal I want you to focus on is believing in yourself. If you don't set a goal to strengthen your confidence, you will always doubt your abilities. The world is already filled with people who will tell you that you can't do something, who will remind you of your failures, who will criticize your every move. You don't need to add to that chorus by being your own worst enemy. Make it your mission to build faith in who you are and what you can achieve every day. Remind yourself that you are worthy, capable, and chosen for something greater. That goal alone will change the way you walk into every room, the way you handle challenges, and the way you keep going when others give up. Another important goal is discipline. You can dream all day long, but without discipline, nothing will manifest. Discipline is the ability to keep going when you don't feel like it. It is the habit of doing the hard things even when they're uncomfortable. If you want to change your body, you need discipline in your diet and exercise. If you want to grow your finances, you need discipline in your spending and saving. If you want to improve your mind, you need discipline in your learning and practice. Discipline is not something that comes naturally to everyone, but it is a goal you can set and develop over time. And once you do, it becomes your superpower. You also need to set goals that nurture your health, your relationships, your finances, and your personal growth. Because goals are not only about achieving big dreams like owning a business or buying a house, they are also about becoming the best version of yourself in every area of life. Setting a goal to take care of your body ensures you have the strength to pursue everything else. Setting a goal to build meaningful relationships ensures that when success arrives, you have people to share it with. Setting a goal to manage your money ensures that when blessings come your way, you know how to protect them. And setting a goal to learn every single day ensures that your mind stays sharp and ready for the opportunities ahead. But perhaps the most powerful thing about goals is how they prepare you for the storms of life. Life is not going to be easy. There will be setbacks, failures, and disappointments. But when you have clear goals, those challenges don't stop you. They shape you. Every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every delay becomes preparation for something bigger. Goals give you the resilience to keep moving forward, even when nothing seems to be going your way. So when you think about what kind of life you want, start by asking yourself what goals you need to set today, because a goal is the seed of your future. Plant it, water it with discipline, nourish it with persistence, and watch it grow into the life you were created to live. Ladies and gentlemen, the second keynote I want to expand on is discipline, because no matter what kind of dream you carry inside of you, without discipline, that dream will remain only a thought in your mind. Discipline is the foundation that transforms vision into reality. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants the life they see in their imagination. But very few are willing to commit to the daily grind and the small sacrifices that discipline demands. You see, goals are easy to set, but they are difficult to live out. And the difference is always discipline. Without it, you get distracted, you procrastinate, you lose focus, and you end up frustrated with yourself. Because deep down, you know you could have done more. But when you decide to build discipline into your life, you create a structure that holds you accountable even on the days when your motivation is gone. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about consistency. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving forward when the excitement wears off. Think about an athlete preparing for the Olympics. They don't just train when they feel inspired. They train every single day, whether the sun is shining or the rain is falling. They train when their body aches, when their mind is tired, when distractions try to pull them away. Why? Because they understand that discipline creates results long before the results ever show up. The same applies to your life. If you want to lose weight, discipline means choosing the right meal instead of giving in to the quick fix. If you want to build a business, discipline means staying up late to work on your vision while others are sleeping. If you want to grow spiritually or mentally, discipline means taking time every day to feed your soul and your mind, even when you'd rather scroll on your phone. One of the biggest myths people believe is that successful individuals have stronger willpower than the rest of us. That is not true. They have simply trained themselves to be disciplined in the areas that matter. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. If you start small, if you commit to showing up consistently, soon you will notice that things which once felt impossible become natural habits. But here's the truth. Building discipline is uncomfortable. It means denying yourself temporary pleasures for the sake of long-term rewards. It means saying no to distractions, no to laziness, no to excuses. It means facing the voice in your head that whispers, "Take it easy, nobody will know," and responding with, "I will know, and I'm not here to let myself down." Discipline also creates freedom. At first glance, that sounds contradictory because people often think discipline feels like restriction. But the reality is, the more disciplined you are, the freer you become. When you are disciplined with your money, you gain financial freedom. When you are disciplined with your health, you gain freedom from sickness and fatigue. When you are disciplined with your time, you gain freedom to focus on the things that truly matter. Without discipline, your life is controlled by impulses, by moods, by circumstances. With discipline, you control your life, and that control is where real freedom lives. Another key aspect of discipline is that it builds trust with yourself. Most people break promises to themselves far too often. They say they're going to wake up early, but they sleep in. They say they're going to save money, but they spend it. They say they're going to work out, but they quit halfway through the week. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your confidence and you start to believe less in your ability to follow through. But discipline reverses that cycle. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, reliable, and strong. Over time, that self-trust becomes unshakable, and it empowers you to tackle bigger challenges because you know you have the discipline to carry them through. Ladies and gentlemen, discipline is not something you wait to feel before you act. It is something you choose daily regardless of how you feel. It is waking up early when your bed feels warm. It is choosing focus when distractions surround you. It is staying committed when the results haven't shown up yet. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it compounds. The little things you do every day might not look like much at first, but eventually they add up to massive results. A single workout doesn't transform your body, but a year of consistent discipline does. 1 hour of focused work doesn't build an empire, but years of disciplined effort do. That's how success is built, not in giant leaps, but in daily steps of discipline repeated over and over again until the vision becomes your reality. Ladies and gentlemen, the third keynote I want to talk about is health, because without your health, nothing else matters. You can set all the goals in the world. You can dream as big as you want. You can even achieve success in business or finances. But if your body breaks down, if your energy is gone, if your mind is clouded, you will not be able to enjoy any of it. Health is the foundation that everything else in your life stands on. Too often people wait until something goes wrong before they start taking it seriously. But by then, they are fighting to recover what they could have preserved with discipline and foresight. Taking care of your health has to be one of your greatest priorities because it affects the way you think, the way you work, and the way you show up every single day. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. And just like any vehicle, if you don't maintain it, it breaks down. We live in a world full of convenience, where fast food is easier than cooking, screens are more tempting than movement, and stress is often ignored until it piles up. But you cannot expect to perform at your best while feeding your body with junk, neglecting rest, and refusing to move. Setting a goal to take care of your health is not about vanity. It is about longevity. It is about ensuring that you have the strength to walk into your future with energy, with clarity, and with confidence. When you feel good physically, it spills over into every other part of your life. Your productivity goes up, your mood improves, your relationships get better, and even your creativity is sharper. Taking care of your health starts with what you feed your body. Food is fuel, and what you put in determines what you get out. Too many people treat food as entertainment rather than nourishment. They eat whatever tastes good in the moment without realizing the long-term effects it has on their body. But when you set a goal to eat healthier, you are not depriving yourself. You are empowering yourself. You are giving your body the vitamins, minerals, and energy it needs to operate at a high level. That doesn't mean you can't ever enjoy yourself, but it does mean making smarter choices and being intentional about how you fuel the only body you will ever have. Another part of health is movement. Your body was designed to move, not to sit still for hours on end. Exercise is not just about building muscles or losing weight. It is about keeping your heart strong, your blood flowing, and your mind clear. The stress of life builds up in the body, and exercise is one of the best ways to release it. When you commit to moving your body regularly, you are investing in your future. You are giving yourself the energy to chase your goals with passion and determination. And exercise doesn't have to mean going to the gym every single day. It can be as simple as walking, stretching, or doing something you enjoy that keeps you active. The key is consistency, not perfection. Rest is another piece of the health puzzle that many people ignore. We live in a culture that glorifies hustling and working nonstop, but if you are not giving your body the rest it needs, you are setting yourself up for burnout. Sleep is where your body repairs itself, where your mind organizes your thoughts, and where your energy is restored. Setting a goal to prioritize your rest is not laziness, it is wisdom. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and rest refills that cup so you can keep giving your best. And let's not forget mental and emotional health. What you feed your mind is just as important as what you feed your body. If you constantly consume negativity, toxic environments, and self-doubt, your health will suffer, even if your diet and exercise are perfect. Mental health is strengthened by positive input, by gratitude, by surrounding yourself with uplifting people, and by practicing habits that keep your spirit at peace. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to disconnect from chaos, take a deep breath, and remind yourself of what truly matters. Ladies and gentlemen, when you set a goal to take care of your health, you are not just extending your years, you are improving the quality of those years. A healthy body gives you the energy to pursue your passions, to spend time with your loved ones, and to live life without limitations. It is not selfish to take care of yourself. It is necessary because you cannot fully give your best to others if you are running on empty. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth keynote I want to expand on is financial literacy, because money is one of those things that can either control your life or empower your life, depending on how you handle it. Too many people go through life without ever truly learning how to manage money, how to save it, how to grow it, or how to make it work for them. They work hard, they earn money, but as soon as it comes in, it goes right back out. They spend to impress others, they buy things they don't need, they live paycheck to paycheck, and then they wonder why they feel trapped. Financial stress is one of the greatest burdens a person can carry, and the only way to break free from it is to set a goal of becoming financially literate. When you learn how money works, when you gain knowledge about saving, budgeting, investing, and building assets, you start to take control of your future instead of leaving it in the hands of chance. Financial literacy is not about being rich, it is about being wise. You can have a big salary and still be broke if you don't know how to manage it. On the other hand, you can have an average income and build wealth if you learn how to use money with discipline and purpose. The truth is, money is a tool, and if you don't know how to use it, it will use you. That is why it is so important to set a goal of learning about finances just as much as you learn about your career or your craft. You need to know how to budget so that your money has a plan. You need to know how to save so that you have security when unexpected events happen. You need to know how to invest so that your money starts working for you instead of you always working for money. One of the biggest traps people fall into is living for instant gratification. They buy things for the momentary pleasure it brings, but those things lose value the moment they walk out of the store. Too often, people sacrifice their long-term stability for short-term satisfaction, and it keeps them stuck in the same cycle year after year. Financial literacy teaches you to think differently. It teaches you to delay gratification, to make sacrifices now for greater rewards later, to prioritize needs over wants, and to build habits that create stability and growth. Every time you choose to save instead of waste, every time you choose to invest instead of splurge, you are planting seeds for a better future. Another key part of financial literacy is eliminating debt. Debt is one of the greatest chains that keeps people from moving forward. The interest piles up, the payments never end, and before you know it, you are working not for yourself, but for the lenders who own your time and energy. Setting a goal to pay off debt is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward freedom. It may take time, it may require sacrifice, but once you get rid of it, you open the door to opportunities you could never access while weighed down by financial obligation. Financial literacy also means learning to build assets instead of liabilities. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket while a liability takes money out. Too many people fill their lives with liabilities. Cars they can't afford, clothes they don't need, gadgets that lose value in months, while ignoring the power of assets that grow in value, like investments, real estate, or businesses. If you want to create generational wealth, if you want to leave something behind for your children and grandchildren, you have to shift your mindset from spending to building. But perhaps the most important thing financial literacy does is give you freedom. When you are financially free, you don't have to stay in a job you hate just to survive. You don't have to live with constant stress about bills, rent, or emergencies. You don't have to be at the mercy of circumstances. Instead, you have options, and options create opportunities. You can choose to pursue your passions. You can choose to spend time with your loved ones. You can choose to live life on your own terms. That freedom is priceless, and it all starts with the decision to set a goal of becoming financially literate. Ladies and gentlemen, money is not everything, but it touches almost everything in your life. The way you handle it can either be the reason for your stress or the reason for your peace. When you set the goal to understand money, to respect it, to manage it with wisdom, you are not just securing your future, you are opening the door to possibilities that money can make possible when used correctly. Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth keynote I want to expand on is relationships, because no matter how much success you achieve, no matter how much money you earn, no matter how many goals you accomplish, if you do not have meaningful relationships in your life, it will all feel empty. Human beings are created for connection. We're wired to love, to share, to support, and to be supported. Success without people to celebrate it with is a lonely kind of success. And failure without people to lift you up is a crushing kind of failure. That is why one of the most important goals you can set for yourself is to build strong, genuine, and healthy relationships that give your life depth, joy, and meaning. Too often in the pursuit of achievement, people neglect the very relationships that matter most. They chase careers, they chase recognition, they chase money, but in the process, they forget to spend time with their families. They forget to nurture their friendships. They forget to give love and attention to the people who truly care about them. And then when they finally reach the top, they look around and realize they are standing alone. That is why relationships must be a priority. When you set the goal of investing in people, you create a foundation that will carry you through the highs and the lows. Building relationships requires effort. It requires time. It requires patience. You cannot expect deep connections if you are only willing to give shallow effort. Real relationships are built on trust, on honesty, on consistency. You have to show up for people not just when it is convenient, but also when it is hard. You have to be willing to listen, to understand, to forgive, and to grow together. The truth is, relationships will not always be easy. People will disappoint you. Conflicts will arise. Differences will surface. But if you set the goal to nurture and protect the relationships that truly matter, you will find that even in the difficult times, those connections are worth holding on to. One of the most important decisions you can make is to surround yourself with people who lift you higher. The people in your circle have an enormous influence on your mindset, your habits, and your future. If you are constantly around negativity, gossip, and mediocrity, eventually it will drag you down. But if you are surrounded by people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to grow, you will rise to their level. That is why you must be intentional about who you allow into your inner circle. Relationships are not just about quantity, they're about quality. It is better to have a few strong, loyal, uplifting people around you than a crowd of people who don't truly care for you. At the same time, building relationships is not just about what you receive, it is about what you give. Too often, people approach relationships with a mindset of, what can I get out of this? But the most powerful connections are built when you give without expecting anything in return. When you serve others, when you encourage them, when you celebrate their victories and support them through their struggles, you create bonds that are unshakable. The more you pour into people, the more you will find that the right people pour back into you. Relationships also teach you humility. They remind you that you are not the center of the universe, that life is not just about your goals and your dreams, but also about how you contribute to the lives of others. When you set the goal of building relationships, you start to see life differently. You begin to value conversations more. You begin to value time more. You begin to value love more. You realize that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply your presence, your attention, your kindness. And don't forget the relationship you have with yourself. Many people overlook this, but the way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. If you constantly criticize yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't value your own worth, you will end up accepting less than you deserve from others. Setting a goal to build a healthy relationship with yourself, one rooted in self-respect, self-love, and self-growth, is just as important as building relationships with those around you. Ladies and gentlemen, relationships are what make the journey worthwhile. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy love. It cannot buy loyalty. It cannot buy the kind of joy that comes from knowing you have people in your corner. When you set the goal of building and cherishing strong relationships, you are investing in the richest part of life, the part that makes every success sweeter and every struggle lighter. Ladies and gentlemen, the sixth keynote I want to expand on is learning, because the truth is the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. Too many people believe that education ends the day they leave school, but real education, the kind that shapes your future, never stops. Life itself is a classroom, and every day is an opportunity to discover something new, to sharpen your skills, to expand your thinking, and to prepare yourself for the opportunities that are coming. Knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is freedom. And if you want to keep moving forward in life, you have to set a goal to always be a student of growth. Every successful person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every achiever has one thing in common. They never stop learning. They read, they study, they seek mentors, they ask questions, they stay curious. They understand that no matter how much they know, there's always more to discover, always more to understand, always more to apply. The moment you think you know it all, you close the door on your own potential. But the moment you open your mind to new ideas, new strategies, new perspectives, you open the door to opportunities you never even imagined. Learning is not just about collecting information, it is about transformation. You can fill your mind with facts, but if you never apply them, they do nothing for you. The true value of learning comes when you put it into action, when you take the knowledge you've gained and use it to improve yourself, to help others, to build something meaningful. That is why you must set the goal to not only learn consistently, but to practice what you learn until it becomes a part of who you are. In this world we live in today, everything is changing at an incredible pace. Technology is advancing, industries are evolving, opportunities are shifting, and if you are not learning, you are falling behind. What worked 10 years ago may not work today, and what works today may not work 10 years from now. But if you commit yourself to being a lifelong learner, you will always have the tools to adapt, to adjust, and to thrive no matter what changes come your way. Learning gives you flexibility, it gives you resilience, it gives you the ability to reinvent yourself when life demands it. Learning is also about humility. It takes humility to admit that you don't know everything, to admit that there are people who can teach you, to admit that you can improve. Too many people let pride block their progress because they think asking for help makes them weak. But asking for help, seeking knowledge, being willing to learn, that is a sign of strength. It shows that you are serious about your growth, that you value progress more than ego, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to become better than you were yesterday. One of the most powerful ways to learn is through reading. Books are like conversations with the greatest minds across history. They allow you to step into the thoughts, the wisdom, the experiences of people who have already walked the path you are trying to walk. A single book can change your perspective. It can open your mind to new possibilities. It can give you the strategy you need to overcome challenges. If you want to grow, make it a goal to read consistently, even if it is just a little each day, because those little moments of learning add up to a lifetime of wisdom. Another way to keep learning is by surrounding yourself with the right people. When you are around people who are smarter than you, who have more experience, who think differently, you are forced to stretch yourself, to grow, to level up. Your environment is a classroom, and the people you choose to spend time with are your teachers. That is why you must be intentional about who you allow into your circle. If you surround yourself with people who don't want to grow, you will stay the same. But if you surround yourself with people who challenge you, who inspire you, who push you to be better, you will naturally rise to their level. Ladies and gentlemen, learning is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment. It's a decision you make every day to seek knowledge, to ask questions, to try new things, to fail and learn from those failures, to stay curious no matter how much you achieve. The more you learn, the more valuable you become, the more